Welcome to the Dirt Trail Running Podcast. My name is Michelle Hartwig, and I am your host. And I am here with my co-host, Crystal the Pistol.
Hey everybody! I'm sorry if you're gonna hear a dog barking a lot during this. I'll try to keep him quiet though.
Yes, Crystal's dog sitting tonight.
Yes, I am.
And our guest tonight is Dean Karnazes, and I mean, we've almost got like regular meetings going with you now. Like we have to have like our monthly catch up.
I feel like I'm part of the clan. Like I know this, I know the secret handshake and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. We really appreciate you. Like you've been so involved in the Ornery Mule Racing book club and coming to book club with us, and it's just been really great to have you part of the Midwest community and get to know you better. And now this is the first time though on the podcast where we play to everybody. And first off, we wanted to congratulate you on your new book. The book club read it, and everybody loves it. And I'm curious, what your inspiration for that book was.
There's a saying in writing circles that you're only as good as your next book. So you got to just keep them churning out. But that book was kind of a sequel to my first book, which was called Ultra Marathon Man, which was kind of a coming of age book where I learned about this crazy sport called ultra marathoning, where people do insanely impossible things like run 100 miles. And this book is, now that I know about that universe and I've been immersed in it for 25 years, how are things going? Are you still as passionate as you used to be? Are you still holding up? What has changed with you? What has changed with the sport? So that was kind of the impetus for the book. It's a very personal story. I think this book is a little more personal than my other books for sure.
Yeah, and one thing, I listened to it and I thought that was really interesting. And the person that reads it was really good. Were you involved in choosing that person?
It's so ironic you say that, because I was involved, and when I heard the reading, I'm just like, oh, this is horrible. Like I picked the wrong guy. Because, as an author, all your inflections and how a sentence is supposed to read in your mind's eye, because you've word crafted that sentence for so long. And when you hear someone reading it, kind of putting emphasis on the wrong words, it makes you cringe. But a couple people have said they really enjoyed his reading, and I think it's transparent to the audience. They don't know. And if, he has a pretty good voice, and his pacing's pretty good. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think had I not said that, you probably would have not known I was dissatisfied with the reading.
Yeah, well, I feel like, this is me as well, but I feel like you're pretty perfectionist too. So it would probably be really hard to get everything exactly, unless you read it yourself, and then you would probably still critique yourself.
Well, my intention was to read it myself, actually, but literally when it had to be read was right at the height of COVID, and all of the recording studios were closed down. And the gentleman who read it, he's a professional reader, so he has a studio in his garage. So there was no really chance for me to read it. But yeah, I hope to read my next book.
Okay, yeah. I look forward to that. So you've already got a next book in your mind?
Yeah, I do. I do. Like I said, you got to keep them coming out, and it's kind of become like my vocation in a way.
Yeah.
I don't think I never thought of myself as an author until this last book. I just thought, I write, but I'm not a writer. But now I've kind of become a writer, so I'm always thinking about the next book. Like my agent calls me now and just says, "Hey, what's next?" Where that never used to happen.
That's great. Well, you've found a niche for yourself to be able to do what you love and live the lifestyle that you like by getting to run and be active every day. And it looks like you're standing for the show as usual.
Yeah.
Which I think that's such a great, I've tried it a couple times. I haven't set up my studio for that, but and thank you also for coming to the Kettle race day coverage. And I had to do some pre-recording for that. And I was like, I'm going to be like Dean. So I stood up for my pre-recording I made my son set up a whole new studio for me to stand up, even though I was really awkward and dropping stuff because I wasn't a pro at it. But something to work on. Well, that's really cool. But yeah, thank you so much for doing that. It was really great. There's 30 hours of coverage, so it's been kind of hard to catch up, but I was able to tune into some, and we're going to take it all and kind of condense it into little highlights so it's easier for people to go see, so you can come back and see yourself.
It was really painful doing that, I have to be honest, because I just so wanted to be in the game. You know, it was like we were doing all this commentary about these people out there running, and I felt like there was a war being waged, and I was kind of on the sidelines, you know, just not being able to participate. So as much as I enjoyed it, I was just, you know, clawing at my nails, going, "God, I wish I was there running."
Well, next year, so it's June 11th and 12th. Do you have do you got a calendar nearby where you can write that down?
I've already, when I give a verbal commitment, I'm good for it. So I've already got it in my calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, just so everybody listening, and we'll have to plan something really special with you, Dean. Everybody listen, you know, Dean's coming to Kettle, so our 26th year. So, and I heard you say that you've been doing this for 25 years. So, Kettle was started 1 year before you started ultra running. Then.
Well, I think I kind of rounded down. Maybe I started in 1993.
Okay.
Was my first year.
Yeah, so you're a little, yeah, I believe it was 95 so it would be 26 years, even though we had our 25-year anniversary because we lost the COVID year. So it's going to make math hard forever for counting the years. But yeah, so.
No, I mean, Kettle I knew was one of the originals.
Yeah, so yeah, it was one of the first 10 in the United States. And yeah, really, I think, I don't know what it was in North America. I've looked it up before. I think maybe 20 in North America. So pretty exciting dream for me that I get to be race director of it. And now I get to have Dean Karnazes there, who was that was the first book that I ever read. I knew nobody that did ultra running. I did a marathon, and I was just trying to figure out what to do for running, and I read your book, and I started it and didn't put it down until I was done. And I was just I just wanted to do everything that was in that book. So you're a great writer and great inspiration to so many.
Yeah, you know, and that's a very enduring story. It's funny because, you know, we've been at it for so long. It's kind of our life now. But I got an email earlier today from a guy that said he was going to read a couple chapters of my book last night before he went to bed. And he said 6 hours later, he closed the last page. And then he said, and then I got up. I just had to go for a run. So to some people,
Awesome.
What we do is still fresh and new, and it really inspires them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great book. Just even if you get into a little rut, to help remind yourself, you know, what all that, you know, how much we like to torture ourselves. This is fun. With your new book, was there anything that you were hoping people would get from that? Like any message that you're wanting to get across?
Well, I think the message of you know, being true to the person you are it comes through pretty powerfully. And I mean, I just love to run, and it's, you know, people might say, well, how do you make a living, you know, just running? And if you devote yourself to what you love, you somehow figure it out. So that was, you know, one message I wanted to come through. The other was that, you know, as much as running and ultra marathoning is a solo sport, you know, no runner's an island. That, you know, when you start running, it impacts your relationships with your family, with your friends, with everyone in your life, because as you know, it becomes somewhat of your identity. And so I wanted to include my family. I thought I couldn't really tell an honest story unless, you know, I involved the people in my life. So you saw how I wove them in, and they're pretty colorful characters, especially my dad. Yeah.
That's great. And yeah, and we also, I got to give a shout out for us about the word ornery, that you snuck that in after meeting us. And so we had Carl Meltzer on Monday, and we asked him to sneak ornery into his book he has coming out as well. But he had high praises. He had high praises for you on our podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a deity in my eyes, so the guy's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, both of you guys are found a way to do what you love, took a chance, and now get to live a lifestyle that a lot of people just a really great lifestyle that people dream to be able to do. I wish everybody could be doing what they love. The whole world would be happier and kinder, and just everything would be greater.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's been one of my kind of missions as I've, uh, how do I say it, matured. As I've my career has progressed, is that I wanted to, somehow create an industry that allowed more people to make a living doing what they love, not like unlike what you guys have done. So I thought that the broader the sport, the more people that are in it, and the more kind of middle of the pack sort of runners, the more chances that people that were hoping to forge a career in ultra marathon and can make a go of it. And it's become a legitimate industry now. I mean, if you go to some of the trade shows, like the running event and so forth, I mean, it's big business, and there's a lot of really stoked people. I mean, the energy in a trade show like that is amazing, just because everyone loves what they're doing.
Are you going to the running event this year?
Yeah, I think I will. I mean, I missed it last year. Obviously, we all did, but I think I'll go again.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll be there. We'll have to hook up. Maybe have. You probably don't do coffee, tea, or something.
We can go for a run.
Yeah, go for a run. Yeah, I always think of it as a business working thing, but yeah, running business thing. Yeah, that would be great. Let's. I also wanted to talk to you, and I feel like part of this is I'm asking advice for me, and hopefully it helps for other people. But you've talked about on different things that I've seen is how you're an introvert. You're not really comfortable in front of people, but you've made a niche you're so good at it, like just exceptionally great at it. And what kind of advice, and I think it's something that a lot of people want to learn how to do. Do you have any advice on how people to get there?
I've learned what I am is called an ambivert. So like someone who's ambidextrous, can kick with their left or right foot, or, throw with their left or right hand. What I am is a deep introvert that can kind of turn it on when I need to. So I kind of keep that switch where when I get in a group situation or have to talk to an audience, I turn on a different switch. And I just say to myself that this is harrowing. I mean, it's terrifying doing this, but when it's over, I can go running by myself.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I look forward to. I just, I love people, and I love, group runs and book signings and immersing myself in people for a time. And then I just kind of need to process everything and kind of go on a run by myself.
Yeah, you work extremely hard at it. We've worked with a bunch of authors because of book club, and I mean, you are the most thorough of anybody that we've worked with, and easy to get a hold of, and gives us the information that we need to help everybody be successful. You must be really great at managing time. What's a day look like for you, and how have you learned to be that effective?
Yeah, one thing I've learned is not to have too many middlemen, or middle people, if you will. I do have a literary agent who does a lot of the literary work, but as far as like someone managing my schedule, I used to have be surrounded by kind of a team, and inevitably it didn't work as well as if people have direct access to me. So I kind of eliminated the team and just started dealing directly with people. And the other thing is that I'm pretty particular with the people I associate with. So I get a lot of invitations to do a lot of different things, and I've somehow learned to kind of say no, and really choose the folks that I really enjoy working with, and the folks I admire and respect. So that's one thing that I do, is kind of choose who I interact with. The other thing I never do is I'm not a good multitasker. I like to focus on one thing at a time. And I think I've become a lot more effective when I just focus on one thing at a time versus trying to do a lot of things at once.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I think that one thing, and I know I struggle with this, and a lot of people do, is you have I'm guessing that you must have a pretty high pressure job with the books and with sponsorships and stuff like that. And how do you, I don't think I quite understand yet how you manage the time and figured out how to make time for you to train and take care of your body.
Yeah, well, the one thing I don't do a lot of is socializing, which is fine with me because I'm an introvert. So I don't necessarily like to go out to dinner. I mean, I prefer not to. And I don't watch a lot of television. I don't go to the movies. My socializing is running, and if it's a group run, that's even better. But I don't do a lot of things that are kind of I don't play golf. So I don't do a lot of recreational things because I love running so much that it kind of consumes that time. So that's one way I think I've been able to kind of keep my head straight.
And then we learned at book club, and it might have been in the book because some of the stuff it mixes up in my head, is that you run every place that you go. So if you have a meeting, you run there.
Well, I was sponsored by Volkswagen, and after our 1 year came up and we came up for renewal, they were excited to renew. And I looked at the odometer and I'd driven like 1,300 miles in a year. And I just thought, I'm a fraud. I'm so hypocritical. I'm taking the paycheck. They're giving me this great car, but I don't drive. So I ended the sponsorship, and that was over 10 years ago. I haven't bought a car since. I forced myself to go running everywhere. And at first it was tough. Now with, I got to be honest, with Zoom, I mean, with Uber and Lyft, it's tempting, but I still run everywhere, and I still don't own a car.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that you do that. And so you're in the San Francisco area. That's like hilly, like running to different places.
Yeah, I mean, I live on a hill. There's no way for me to get to and from my house without at least a 400-foot climb.
Wow.
That's bare minimum. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, well, Kettle, I should say, Kettle has got some rolling hills, but here it's not the Midwest. It's very different in the terrain. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Kettle's a fast course. It's very runnable. Crystal just got done doing the 100K, so she's fresh right off of all of it. I could sit there and say, oh yeah, it's really runnable, but I didn't just do the 100K. What's Crystal think?
I mean, yeah, it's runnable. It was kind of oppressively hot, but other than that, it was a good course. Definitely not San Francisco hills or anything like that. But there are some climbs, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, there's a couple big ones, and then everything else is pretty runnable. You just have to manage the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the old North Face event?
Uh-huh.
So I've run that 50 miler a couple times.
Yeah, so we're using part of that course. Well, it runs on part of the Kettle course, but we've added the McMiller section, which that's one race. I never did that North Face 50, and I'm bummed that it went away because it was one race I had never done. But I've heard it goes into McMiller, and we started using that because it was a good parking area, and DNR had asked us to use that. So I'm a little familiar with how the course is.
Yeah, and it gets, Crystal, to your point, that when you guys dial up the humidity, it's a different beast.
Yeah.
We have a lot of heat on the West Coast, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl said that Kettle was the hottest race he's ever run.
Really?
Yeah, because it was really, really tough this year. It was over 90 degrees, and it poured rain the night before. It didn't rain on race day, but it just got the ground wet, so that it just added. He called it like 280% humidity.
Oh, I know exactly. And how are the mosquitoes?
The bugs aren't bad this year, right? Like we weren't. I'm hearing every place that they're not bad. I don't know why they're not bad, but we'll take that.
Right.
Maybe the cicadas ate all the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bug wars.
So another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, like being in the public eye, it's real easy to get critiqued, and you stay so positive and stay on course. And a lot of us, and with social media and stuff, we can get like beat down by this kind of stuff. How, and it has to be twice as hard for you than somebody else. Like, how do you manage that and stay with your truth?
I don't, my social media feeds have like become places of positivity. I don't know how, but when I look through, my Instagram or Facebook, I'm usually laughing and smiling the whole, like it's a really good experience. It's really like uplifting. So I don't know if the people that hate me just don't visit my sites, which is probably the case, or when someone posts something kind of negative, they get like jumped on by the other people in the group. So someone might say something negative, and they'll get like 30 people saying, hey, that's you're really you're off base here, like you retract that kind of thing. So I don't deal with too much negativity online, thankfully.
Oh, that's really
That's
great for me to
that's
hear.
really good. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised in some ways because you're so positive and nice to everybody else, and what you project is what you get back, oftentimes. But just you've just rose to such stardom. I just figured that you must have to deal with that, and I see people struggling in it in our world, and I guess just ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the world's a tough enough place, let alone beat down a fellow human. I mean, especially now. we
Right.
all need to support each other.
Yeah, I think after COVID, we all just appreciate one another more, and even if we do like to, I have this trail that I call my secret trail, and I always went there by myself for like 5 years. And after COVID, I'm like, I want other people here, and I ended up having a little race out there, just so everybody could come out there, because I did like to go by myself, but a year of it was not fun. And so you're involved with a new race that possibly, did you make the design this course, the Golden Gate Trail Race? That sounds like it's right in your backyard.
Yeah, it's the Golden Gate Trail Classic. Yeah, the whole thing was my idea. So I went to Spartan Trail. I know those guys, and they wanted to get involved. And so I said, here's my thoughts. And they said, yeah, let's do it.
So can you tell us about that course? And this is a course that you run on a regular basis, and maybe designed the lengths.
Yep, I did, and it starts in San Francisco. So I wanted the race like I don't know. Have you guys ever been to UTMB?
I have not.
Mm-mm.
You might know of the race, but
Oh
it
yeah.
starts in Chamonix. So I mean, Chamonix is not San Francisco, but it is a pretty populous town, and it's just such a great feel because everyone comes out from the community to support the race. So I really wanted to start the race in a suburban setting. So it'll start in San Francisco, and you'll run north across the Golden Gate Bridge, and then up into a place called the Marin Headlands. So it's kind of along the Pacific. You go through the redwoods. There's Mount Tamalpais, so you'll climb a mountain, and then you finish by recrossing the Golden Gate Bridge and finishing in San Francisco.
Oh my god.
And we're gonna have a big, like, the festival at the finish will be, we hope to have live music, food trucks, to really make it a big kind of event.
So does it start like that's the bays there? Like a beach? Does it start like a beach area?
Yeah, it's called Chrissy Field. It's a big grass area
Okay.
on the south side of the Golden Gate Bridge. So you have a full view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Like, you can see a lot of the route you'll be running from the start and finish area.
And is there like normal crossing on the Golden Gate Bridge? I've been there, but I didn't cross it.
Yeah, we got a special permit. For you can cross the Golden Gate Bridge during daylight. So they typically close it to pedestrian and foot traffic after sunset, and we got a permit to just keep going. The one thing I wanted to do with this race is to have the cutoffs really liberal, so that it would encourage people of all abilities. So the cutoff for the 100K is 24 hours.
Oh wow.
So they gave us a permit to keep the sidewalk open on the Golden Gate Bridge.
And what's so comparable for the 100K? Like what race, is it super hilly? I mean, I'm guessing it's pretty hilly, but is it hilly like Kettle or hilly like mountain climbs?
It's somewhere in between. It is definitely hilly and there's definitely elevation, but a lot of the trails they're pretty. It's like we call it California carpet. They're pretty runnable. They have pine needles on a lot of them. A lot of it's not super technical. There are technical areas, but not super technical. And the other thing is that it's at sea level. So it's not like racing in Colorado, I mean, even though I think there's something like 15 or 16,000 feet of elevation change. It's not up in the sky. It's at sea level.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And it's in November?
November, second week of November. Yeah.
No races around here. And then what's the weather like there?
It is not. It's going to be a lot warmer than it will be where you live. Uh, it can be gorgeous, and it will not get real hot. I mean, the highest it could get is probably 70 degrees. But it's typically, late fall is a really nice time in California.
Oh, that sounds really great. So
the Indian summer, yeah.
So there's 100K, and what are the other the 100K is the longest?
Yeah, the 100K is the longest. There's a 50K, there's a half marathon, 10K, and a 5K.
Oh, that sounds really cool. I was just saying, I think that the 100K race, there should be more of them. I think it's such a fun distance to race, and that is attainable for more people. And that 24-hour cutoff, that's super exciting. We'll have to get a bunch of ornery mules to go out there.
I'd love to see you guys. I'd love to see you out here. I think you'd absolutely you'd love this. The scenery is just amazing.
Yeah, my son and I, we went on a trip. We flew into San Francisco, and then we went over to, what is the park across the state? Yosemite? Is it? No, not Yosemite.
Sequoia?
No. Oh, what am I? Royal, you should help me out here. I can't think of the name. Where the dome is.
Oh, that's Yosemite. Yosemite
okay.
Valley.
Yeah. Okay. I always mix it up with Yellowstone's the one I mix it up with. Yeah, so Yosemite. And then we came back across, and then we drove all the way down the coast of California on Pacific Coast Highway. And it is, I didn't know I would like California that much. And I know it's a little different north, but it's really gorgeous. I mean, I've stood at that beach and looked across the bridge and saw the land over there, and that just sounds like an extremely exciting race. So is there like camping, or like what do we stay at hotels?
There is some camping, there are hotels, and obviously there's lots of Airbnb.
Okay.
Lots of I mean, Airbnb is actually headquartered in San Francisco, but there's lots of really like eclectic properties in the area. So I would suggest
great.
an Airbnb. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really
and
awesome.
It's only an hour away from Napa Valley too. So afterward, I would highly suggest heading up for some spa and wine.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. November it's a wide open month for us. We'll be all done with our races. My last race is October 23rd. So that would be a great time for a trip out there. We'll have to see what we can pull together. I don't have the live feed of anybody commenting. So anybody commenting, let us know if you want to come out there with us, get an Ornery Mule team.
Yeah, and the website is just goldengatetrailclassic.com.
Yeah, we'll add that into the comments, goldengatetrailclassic.com. Crystal, do you want to do the Ornery Mule Stubborn 5?
Sure. All right. So these are just
what is this thing? What is this thing?
No.
Should I start running?
It's not as bad as it seems. They're just 5 questions. That's all. Just 5 questions.
That we ask everybody.
Yep, I ask everybody. All right. Question 1 is, share one thing about you that people may not know.
My real name is not Dean.
Wow. What is it?
It's Constantine.
Cool.
I'm 100% Greek, so it's Constantine. Yeah.
And how did you get, is Dean like a nickname or is it like a surname for Constantine or?
It's a nickname, and I think it's because Constantine in Greek is Kostandino. So
Okay.
people used to call me Dino when I was a little kid, and I think it just morphed into Dean. But yeah, Dean is not on my license. It's not. I mean, if you look at my passport, you will never see Dean.
Wow.
That's really
That is
interesting.
that's very interesting. All right. The next question is, what is something in your life that you are looking forward to?
Oh, I think that's easy. Travel. So I'm heading at the end of July. I'm heading to Australia to run
Ooh.
1,000 miles across Australia.
That's awesome. Where are you starting and stopping?
Yeah, I'm starting at a place called Broken Hill, which is kind of
Okay.
in the middle of Australia, and then finishing at the westernmost point in Australia, which is Byron Bay. And I'm finishing by touching the Byron Bay Lighthouse. So it's the run is called 1,000 Miles to Light, and it's a kind of a play on words. It's kind of like we're finally crawling out of this, darkness into the light as humanity, and
Yeah.
also, 1,000 miles to the lighthouse at Byron Bay.
Right. So is this like a big event or is it just a few of you?
It's two teams, a team of Americans and a team of Australians.
Okay.
And it's 4-person teams, so 2 men and 2 women on each team. And I chose my 3 team members. The guy that I'm doing it with he's a big ultra marathoner in Australia, Pat Farmer. So he's the one who approached me, and so I put together the U.S. team, and it's going to be really exciting. We're being supported by the Australian Army, so we have 30 Army personnel that are going to set up like this tent city for us every night, and they're going to do all the cooking for us and all of that. So we'll run 100 miles a day, and then eat, sleep, get up, and repeat.
Wow.
And how's the course? Like, how is that? Where does it go through?
I used to live in Australia, and it's hard to describe. I mean, Australia is almost the size of the U.S., and there are 25 million people in the U.S. In Australia, there are 22 million people. So, and they all live on the coastline. When you drive 30 or 40 miles inland, there's nothing. I mean, it's dirt roads. There's nothing there. So it's going to be through what they call the outback.
Is there like wild animals and stuff that you're going to need to be worried about?
They were saying there are 10 varieties of snakes and 8 varieties of spiders that will kill a person in under 30 seconds.
Oh,
so stay away from those.
So don't just like sleep by a rock.
Yeah. Well, and there are wombats. It's funny when you go to the Australian outback. I mean, there are kangaroo everywhere. Like where I live, we see a lot of deer, and there's a lot of deer in your area as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like when I take Americans over there, they're just like, wow, there's a kangaroo. Wow, there's another one. But there are just kangaroos everywhere, so you got to watch out for the roos.
Because do they get aggressive?
It depends. If it's mating season and they're males, the males they can be 8 feet tall, and they literally kick. I mean, they can be, if they're provoked, they can be really vicious.
Can you outrun one?
Probably.
I've out hopped one. How's that?
There you go. What about koalas?
So that's what you said. Yeah, that was a long-winded answer to your question. What am I looking forward to? But that's it. Yeah.
What about koalas? Do you see a lot of koalas?
Yes, you see koalas. They're more along the coastline. They're less in the outback. But yeah, you do. You see koalas.
I love koalas.
There's a dirty little secret about koalas. It sounds like you guys don't know it.
We don't know it.
Is it that they look nice, but they're actually not nice at all?
No, they're super nice, and they're very pettable, and they're cuddly, but they have gonorrhea.
Oh my god!
A lot of them have gonorrhea. It's kind of common amongst koalas.
Oh.
How would you know?
So like, don't pick up a koala. Like, that's crazy.
Keep him away from the baby. Yeah.
Keep him away from the baby.
Are you going to get to surf while you're in Australia? I feel like surfing happens there a lot.
Oh, yes. Yes. You're talking to a kid from California that grew up surfing.
Right.
So, yeah. Byron Bay, where the finish is like one of the most iconic beach towns in Australia. It's kind of like it's like a Santa Monica, but a very low key Santa Monica.
Cool.
That's cool. Very cool. That brings me to my next question, which is, do you have any hobbies? I guess surfing is a thing for you. And what else do you like to do?
I study ancient Greek history. So
that's cool.
It's kind of a hobby, I guess, although I'm going to graduate school right now, working on an MA on classics. So yeah, I read a lot of Greek history. I've probably got 3 books going concurrently right now.
Wow.
So we just
That's
learned
awesome.
another thing that we didn't know, that you're going to graduate
Right.
school.
Right.
We got like a 2 for
let's be
1.
clear, I'm on the 5-year plan. I mean, it's one course a semester. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is cool. All right. Next question is, who is the biggest influence in your life?
Oh, my dad. Without a doubt. Yeah. I think your parents are always a huge influence. And I'll be honest. I mean, your parents teach you how to be and also how not to be. So you learn a lot from your parents, good and bad. But, my dad he's just a great guy. He's always been there for me, whether I wanted it or not, whether I liked it or not. He's just been there. And, when I was younger, he'd come to all my games. And I would just think, this is so weird. Why is my dad at every single game? But some of my friends, their dads never went to any of their games. And now I look back and I just think the guy's a hero. So, and he still runs and he's 85. You got to love that.
That's awesome. Good for him.
That's great.
All right. Last question. The most important question, I think. What is your favorite treat for a job well done?
Favorite treat? Like a forbidden food kind of thing?
Food, drink, anything. A nap could be considered a treat.
I always like to follow up something hard with something hard. So maybe doing burpees. I do a lot of burpees.
I just started adding burpees to the end of my run. There's like a spot that there's like this little overlook that looks over a hill, and I only do 25. But I'm like, well, that's just something that I added each time I get done, and I like to stand in that area. I'm sure you do more than 25.
25 burpees is totally respectable.
Oh, good. I didn't know that.
I'm like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I usually do sets of 30, and I am gassed at the end of 30 burpees.
Well, maybe I'm not doing them right because I'm not there. I might not be doing them right.
Are you doing the little jump at the end?
I jump up, and then I go down, and then I do a push up. I do a knee push up, and then I jump up, go down, do a knee push up. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just must like where I'm at.
Respect. Yeah.
And then Loretta has me doing some ladder stuff too.
Oh boy.
Coach Loretta. I just pretend like there's a ladder there. And I really like this little area, so maybe it makes it sound like it's easy to me. So, but I'll have to look at it as a best treat for a job well done. Well, that's good. Well, thank you, Dean. It was really great having you on the show. Thanks for everything that you do for Ornery Mule Racing. And let's see. We need a
TikTok of Michelle versus Dean doing burpees.
Game
But,
on, baby. Game on. Yeah.
I
Okay,
think that's what it said.
I'll have to have my husband tape it because I asked him, he says, it looks like you're pretty good at it. So, because he watched,
Go.
we went out together and he watched why I did it the last time.
All right. Them's fighting words. We're on.
TikTok. Do you have a TikTok page?
I don't. I'm sure I can get one of my kids to film me though.
Yeah, we have a TikTok. It would be the very first thing we ever put up is me doing burpees.
I love that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I need my kids to teach me how to do it too. Although my kids don't really use social media, so they're probably not the best ones for it. But I'll find somebody too. So that sounds fun.
Count me out. I have no idea how to do TikTok. No clue. I could ask my daughter. She probably knows.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, we got lots of great things going on. We're going to have a burpee off. And we need to get an Ornery Mule trip out to San Francisco. I really want to go. It looks gorgeous. I was on the website today and I'm like, man, November, we have nothing going on here. Crystal, are you going?
Well, I'm running Tunnel Hill in November.
Oh, okay.
So it just depends on when in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to take a look at the calendar.
Take a look.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys. It would be really wonderful. Yeah.
So, well, thank you. And thank you to my son for making all this happen. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your
Bye.
evening. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.